Hi, in this video we'll be performing alignment on this Clinton Model 621XQ shortwave radio from 1938. It's got the regular broadcast band plus a shortwave band from 2 to 7 megahertz. I've had this radio for almost 60 years but haven't used it in about 30 years. I'm finally getting around to restoring it to operation. There's a link to the rest of the restoration in the description. I think this radio is pretty rare. There's very little information available on it anywhere, and I had to work out the schematic myself. I posted an inquiry to the forums at antiqueradios.com just asking whether anyone else had seen this model of Clinton radio. I got some very useful replies, including alignment procedures for another Clinton with the same two bands, the same front-end tubes, and probably the same set of coils. Here it is, and it's pretty straightforward. First you align the Iaf transformers with a 456 kilohertz signal. Then you align the short wave band by adjusting trimmers on the oscillator and antenna coils. If you look at the schematic, you can see why. Instead of having separate coils for each band, the broadcast band coils include the short wave coils. In short wave mode, the band switch simply shorts out part of the coils, leaving short wave coils of much lower inductance. The band switch also shorts out the 3 broadcast band trimmers, so they can be adjusted later without affecting shortwave tuning. But the shortwave trimmers have to be adjusted first because their settings will affect the broadcast band as well. Once the shortwave is aligned, we'll switch to the broadcast band, align the oscillator at the low end of the dial with this series trimmer, then at the high end of the dial with the parallel trimmer. Finally, we'll adjust this antenna trimmer for maximum signal. Okay, so we're ready to start the Iaf alignment of this radio. And for that, I actually have 2 signal generators. I have this 1960s night kit that I built as a kid. It gives modulated RF signals. I've also got a newer function generator that has a frequency meter, but it doesn't have any modulation. So the plan is to use the night kit generator 456 kilocycle signal, which we can check the frequency on this frequency meter. Okay, so we're ready to start the Iaf alignment on this radio, and it's just some trimmer capacitors in these Iaf cans. There's something funny about this midget Iaf can. It seems to have only one screw. Almost looks like the other one is broken off, but I saw another video on Jim Linden's channel. Looked exactly the same as this. And so I think that's just the way it is, in that there are only 3 trimmers that you can adjust. So let's get started. Okay, so I've got this all set up for the alignment now. Filaments are on. I've got 100 volts of B+. Got this little signal generator on, connected directly to the frequency counter in this function generator. And then generator is connected through a capacitor to the oscillator section of the tuning capacitor, which connects directly to grid 1 of the mixer tube. That's going to put a signal through the Iaf amplifier here. One precaution, sometimes these capacitors can actually have B+ voltage on them. So just going to check that. Here's the plate voltage from the output transformer. And so none of these screws have any voltage at all. Nevertheless, I'm going to use an insulated screwdriver taped right up to the end so it can't possibly short against the can. I have a little bit of a hum problem here, and oddly enough it seems to only hum when the signal generator is on. And only, of course, when the signal generator is connected. So I don't know the origin of that, but I guess we'll just live with it. So for the readout, I've got AC voltmeter connected to the secondary of the output transformer. Unfortunately, you need a pretty loud signal to get this to deflect. So let's just turn on the modulation. I've got it set to 456, which is supposed to be the right Iaf frequency. Let's just see how close we are. So turn on the modulation here. Can turn this down and just try to find the maximum. Okay, so maximum is more like 430, and almost seems like there's two little peaks in there. So it's tuned way too low. But we do have a signal at 456. I'm just going to turn this back up to 456 and then start peaking these Iaf cans. Okay, so I think that's pretty good. The little can was actually pretty close. Both the capacitor on the big can were tuned too low. But I think we got the Iaf aligned pretty well now. Okay, I think I found a better way to calibrate my signal generator on the shortwave band. And that is, I have an oscilloscope which has an amplified vertical output. So I'm running the signal generator straight into the oscilloscope and then running the output into the frequency counter of this function generator. And now it has plenty of power to activate the frequency counter, so I can accurately measure the frequency that's coming out as I'm doing the alignment. And then I've actually got the amplified input connected to the antenna of the radio. So we want to do this at 6 megahertz. That's where most of the shortwave signals are that you'd want to listen to. And since I've got both the oscilloscope and the frequency counter plugged in, to avoid grounding problems, I'm actually using the battery for my electric car, which is 120 volts, using that for the B+. Okay, so we got the radio on here, and what I'm going to be adjusting is that trimmer in the back there, which is the shortwave part of the oscillator coil, and then this trimmer up here, which is the shortwave part of the antenna coil. Okay, now the way they tell you to align this is to take the trimmer on the oscillator coil, turn it fully tight, then back it off and take the second peak of the signal. And the reason they do that is because they want the oscillator to be 456 kilocycles above the target frequency rather than below the target frequency. But I don't want to do that because this trimmer looks really fragile. I don't want to tighten it all the way. So I'm just going to assume that we're at about the right level and just try to finalize the adjustment here. Okay, I think we're ready to go here. Let's add some B+. And try to adjust this down to 6 megacycles. And let's see if we can pick that up. Okay, there it is, and it's pretty close to 6 on the dial. Just a little bit above, maybe 6.1 or 2. So I'm going to back off this trimmer just a bit. Okay, I don't think we're going to get much closer than that, so just want to adjust the antenna trimmer. And I think that's it. And we'll turn this off. Definitely getting some stations. And I think that's it for the shortwave alignment. Okay, then let's just proceed with the broadcast band alignment. And for that, there's 3 trimmers. One is down there at the base of the capacitor, and that's in series with the oscillator coil, and that's to adjust the low end of the broadcast band. And then to adjust the high end of the broadcast band, it's this trimmer on the left here. That's the broadcast part of the oscillator coil. And then finally, the antenna trimmer for the broadcast band is right there. Okay, so I think we'll just use the same setup here. I've got the signal generator going into the oscilloscope and then into the frequency counter, and it's connected to the antenna wire. And the instructions tell you to start by aligning the low end at 600 kilohertz. So let's just dial that in. We're on the broadcast band. Let's just see if we can pick that up.
The cornerback position. Those type of topics. In topics such as the rapture.
Okay, there it is. It's a little bit above 600 on the dial. So we're going to have to back off that trimmer a little bit. Okay, I think that's right on 6. So then they say to turn the tuning capacitor fully clockwise, and that's supposed to be 1717 kilocycles. But it doesn't look like 1717 kilocycles on here. It looks like it goes up to at least 1750. So instead I'm just going to go for 1700 and line it up with the 1700 dot on the dial and adjust that at the high end of the band. Okay, let's get this up to 1700, and that's the next band up. Okay, let's see if we can find that. Oh, where is it? Let's try tuning the signal generator instead. There it is. Okay, it seems the radio is tuning lower than the dial indicates. So we have to back off the trimmer to raise the oscillator frequency. Okay, let's bring the signal generator back to 1700. Now I'm going to keep backing off the trimmer and retuning the dial till it reaches 1700. Try a smaller screwdriver here. Okay, I think that's good, but I really turned this capacitor quite a bit. I think we better go back to 600 and see if that's still aligned. Now it's coming in just a little bit low. So let's see, we want the tuning capacitor to be a little bit more open. So I think I want to close the trimmer just a bit. Okay, I think we're good. So just once more up to 1700.
A lot of fun.
And I think that's still good. So just want to adjust the antenna trimmer then. Okay, I think it was pretty good as is. I don't think we're going to do any better than that. So that should complete the alignment. And that completes this video. For the rest of the restoration and a look at some of the unusual circuitry in this radio, check the link in the description. Meanwhile, thanks for watching.